masturbators in history. Ken Anderson, Kenny Stabler, Steve Young, Boomer Size. All right, we are able to be shared. And Facebook just banned us. No, that's not true. That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Let me pull the thing out of the thing, isolate the thing over here where the thing is, and move the thing over here. And
we'll be ready.
Good.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Move the thing a little bit over here. It is the Brad and Britt cast. Last one for the week. This is where we try. The first 3 days of the week, we fake it. We bring all of our powers of us. Preparation, intellectual rigor, humor. It's all one seamless ball of excellence, but only on Thursdays, which is when we do our last one.
That's right.
This week. Right. Okay. We got a few little things to clean up. Not clean up, but add on to from the previous Brad and Britt cast. The first one, this was the headline I was going to suck you in with. So how did they really break Herschel Walker? This is such a great story. Greg Bluestein, who is kind of the go-to political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He's on all the network. He's that guy, right? He's the dean. And he wrote a long piece, and it ran yesterday there, and that's out everywhere else. This is so good. It was a late November stop in Wrightsville, the East Georgia town where Herschel Walker grew up. The Democrat was joined there by Curtis Dixon, of course, Raphael Warnock, a former high school football coach of Herschel Walker's, who declared that Herschel Walker is, quote, not ready to serve in the Senate. So you got it? So
Ouch.
They go, the Warnock campaign grabs one of Herschel Walker's old high school coaches and gets him to say that Herschel Walker ain't got the goods. While it hardly attracted media attention, the visit got under Walker's skin. Soon, aides were instructed to attack Curtis Dixon, the former high school coach.
Oh no!
And they were told that they should label him a fraud. Sound familiar? Sound like anybody else's playbook?
Oh, no. This is completely original.
One staffer wound up deleting a tweet that inaccurately claimed that Dixon wasn't even Herschel Walker's football coach, which, of course, was not.
I don't know who he is. I never heard of him.
Right.
I don't even know who that is.
Staffers plunged into despair, Herschel Walker staffers. It was the best campaign decision the Warnock campaign ever made, said a Republican operative who wouldn't want his name out there because, as usual, you're never allowed to admit you fucked up. That was when the staff realized we weren't going to get Walker to sharpen his message. What message? We knew the trip was an attempt to distract us, and it worked. That was pretty simple, wasn't it? That was a pretty easy one that they got him with.
Right. And again, for this correct decision and all the other correct decisions and the economic lead they had and everything else, they won by about 100,000 votes, right?
Which, in terms of a Georgia statewide election it is a landslide almost, because many of them are so close, or they're Republican blowouts. So there you go. I just thought that was a good little
pretty funny
end point for that story. Good reporting there by Bluestein. And back one more thing. At the end of the Brad and Britt cast, the previous one, I talked about Kirstie Alley and I don't know if it's distress, but questioning the fact that in all the coverage It is never discussed whether she was getting correct adult medical attention, overall normal attending to things that you're supposed to do as an adult, getting colonoscopies on a regular basis, at least every 10 years, more if you have a family history. That's what you do. And suddenly she died at age 71. We found out about it suddenly 3 months ago. It just came on, boom, ding, dead. All right. And I just was wondering about the role that Scientology might have played in the way she dealt with medical issues. And it turns out that my supposition was right. And here's why it wasn't mentioned, because there's just no, and I can't prove it. No, it's not explicit, but this is close enough for me. This is according to a piece in Rolling Stone. L. Ron Hubbard was openly critical of Western medicine. Scientologists are known for seeking alternatives to standard medical care. It has been reported that Kirsty sought conventional cancer treatment, which gave her a fighting chance. But Leah Remini says, the majority of Scientologists do not seek treatment until it is too late. They are convinced they can cure themselves of diseases like cancer. It's one of the more sinister things they promise. And because Scientology claims to be an exact science, not a faith, its members are brainwashed into believing these false claims as guarantees. What do you think?
I mean, if you're dead, you can't continue to pay them the money for their bullshit cult. So, I mean, I would think it would be a good idea for them to be involved in, getting some sort of medication or something to keep them alive. But that's just me. I mean, it all fits in nicely with their complete nonsense. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to kill people off, then all of a sudden, unless you figure out a way, this will be the other thing. Did she sign her estate over to Scientology, or is her family actually going to get the money? I think that's one of the things they want you to do.
I don't know that yet, but she was hardcore. That she was all in. And remember, she was married to a guy who, he was a teen idol. I mean, he was on the front of Circus, whatever, the Teen Idol magazine. It was Parker Stevenson. You remember him?
Parker Stevenson from the Hardy Boys television show.
Right. And so she married him. They were married from 83 to 97. And he blamed the split because he didn't want to become a Scientologist. She was not in on it. They had 2 kids, and both of the kids, who of course are now adults, I can't remember the other one's name. One of them is named True. First name is True, True.
Probably
about
Scout.
30 years old.
It's probably Scout, because every fucking person in Hollywood read To Kill a Mockingbird and thought it'd be great to name their kid Scout, whether it was a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bruce Willis.
Yeah. So it's sad. I'm sad that she died. Wouldn't wish this on anybody, but honest to God, a cult is a cult is a cult. Cult is a cult is a cult. All right. Brittany Griner story here. Here we go. I have a theory. I have a theory on this. And this is the Brad theory only. This comes from nowhere else. This is from my little evil head. Why did Putin do this? Why did he do this now? I believe this is just another cog in the forever attempt by first the Soviet Union and now Russia to help divide America. And here's what I mean. And by the way, don't worry. The bait has already been taken. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. We're getting a lot of fresh hot takes, which
we're getting hot takes on this.
Yeah.
He releases the black lesbian woman basketball player, pop culture person.
Yeah.
Hangs on to the white male. Right? So when the black lesbian basketball player who wouldn't stand for the national anthem and wouldn't sing it is released, my God, Joe Biden, what are you doing? How could you have not demanded that Paul Whelan, the surely falsely accused spy, how can you not insist that he, and of course the answer is it wasn't his choice.
No.
It was take Brittany Griner or you get nothing. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
But that doesn't matter. That's not important.
No.
I believe that, and the Russians and the Soviet Union before them, they've been doing this for years. Back when the FBI was going after Martin Luther King, it wasn't just our FBI. It was their KGB also throwing shit at Martin Luther King, saying that he was a communist agent. It wasn't just us saying it. They were in on it with us.
Yeah.
Right. This has been an ongoing thing that they've been doing forever. And I don't think that's the only reason that he did it, but I think it's just part of it. It just seemed so out of the classic Russian, we can always get Americans to scrap with each other, even when under normal circumstances, you would just celebrate the fact that you got an American out. And what's the first line of half of these stories? There are still hundreds of Americans all around the world who are. Right?
Yes.
That's the first one.
I'll go for your marriage analogy. Like you're on the road, you're on a road trip when your wife goes, I'm starved. Can you just pull into anywhere? I don't care. And then all of a sudden the next thing is, why did you go to Chili's? Why? So again, it's like, just get her out. Just get her out. I don't care how you, oh my God, I can't believe you did that to get her out. I mean, that's what we've been hearing for a year and a half, right?
Right. When I heard about this at about 9:30 this morning, I immediately put up a Brad fake Fox News alert. Bong. Fox News alert. Brain damage. Septuagenarian President Biden releases Democrat. Pleases Democrat base while insulting real Americans, rewarding Putin by trading convicted Russian arms dealer for drug smuggling woke black lesbian basketball player Brittany Griner. Hannity gets reaction from Lindsey Graham tonight at 9 on the Fox News channel.
This is helpful. I mean, this will be helpful for Fox. They can stop bitching about Ronna McDaniel and for about 5 seconds and get onto this, right?
Of course, I was making that all up. But at the top of foxnews.com right now, here's what really sticks out and you need to know. Dallas Cowboys star rips Biden over Brittany Griner release, walks back scathing tweets. That's right.
Micah Parsons.
Yes. Linebacker for the Cowboys, Micah Parsons.
One of the better defensive players in the league. He's very good.
This is so Fox. It's always the reaction to something.
Yeah.
Always the most important thing. And if
this is
and twist that into the story, not what actually happened, not Brittany Griner release.
And this is illustrative too, because anytime they're able to show black people committing crime on Fox, they'll roll that video all day, every day to scare the white people that show Fox. But if they get a chance to turn Micah Parsons into fucking Gandhi or Dag Hammarskjöld, a guy that nobody in Fox audience, but they elevate him into some sort of statesman now, right? He's a very great guy, and we're glad he's speaking out about Joe Biden. It's the greatest thing. They shit on black people like crazy on Fox, but then they elevate this guy. It's the greatest. This is the tweet from Donald Trump Jr. How long till other countries realize they too can take total advantage of the United States and get whatever lopsided trade they could by simply kidnapping, harassing, and wrongfully imprisoning Americans abroad?
Britt, that's just too stupid to talk about. But
yeah.
if you recall in the past, and it hasn't gone on for a while, but we don't know. Some of this stuff never makes it public. But there were times when Israel, in order to get back sometimes one captured Israeli soldier, would trade hundreds, sometimes 1,000 captured Arabs, Palestinians, whoever they had, just to get back one Israeli, maybe two. And they would be criticized. And here in the United States, we would go, you know what? That's how much they care about life. That's what being pro-life is. It's making a compromise sometimes in the name of saving a life.
Mm-hmm.
And this was not a 1,000-to-1 trade. Yeah, this guy was bad news. But as has been pointed out on, that's right, Britt, by a Facebook friend of mine, this guy who we're sending back there, the Russian arms dealer, he was in year like 12 of a 15-year sentence or so.
Oh, okay.
So he was getting near the end anyway. He was getting near the end. And so I think once again, how many fucking W's did Joe Biden have to put up on the scoreboard here? How many?
It's crazy. It's sick. It's like he's not even trying. Here's my subtweet to Donald Trump Jr. after he worried about people being imprisoned. Allow me to help you book your trip to anywhere abroad, Koki. That's my subtweet to Donald Trump Jr. The trade.
It's funny. I'm looking at the cover page here of one of our favorite sites, Mediaite, and they've got dueling views of this from Republicans. John Bolton,
I saw
the puss who couldn't talk to the committee but wrote a book.
Yeah.
This is not a swap. This is a huge win for Moscow over Biden. Then right below that, Kellyanne Conway says, "Great day for America." Reiner paid her dues for breaking Russian drug law. Oh my fucking God.
Kellyanne was on the Fox last night criticizing a lot of the Republican senators that didn't go down there and campaign for Herschel Walker. Where were you people? What were you doing?
Maybe another return visit by Lindsey Graham would have put the. What kind of stupid shit is that? Okay.
Well, a lot of them did decide that they were going to back away from that stinky turd.
What? You could have 1,000. You could have every Republican senator going back to 1964 show up. That wasn't going to change what people thought of Herschel Walker.
I don't know.
That wasn't going to stoke turnout among people who sat on their hands, rightfully so, even if they'd been Republicans, and depressed turnout among Republicans in Georgia. That wasn't going to change it. So she's nuts, but just maybe she's trying to get back into the good graces of her husband, George.
It's funny because they really, I don't know if you've actually seen any Fox over the past couple of nights, but the circular firing squad over this Herschel Walker thing is delicious. It's really fantastic to hear them. If we would have just done this, if you wouldn't have run the worst fucking candidate in the history of candidates, you dumbasses.
Now maybe they should take the gift here, and stop arguing over that, and accuse Joe Biden of engineering the announcement of this swap. And they always do this. It's to distract from X.
It's to distract from us fucking up the Georgia runoff.
Yes.
God damn you, Georgia.
He wanted to save the Republicans from committing circular firing squad mass suicide. That's what he did.
Now that Casey Anthony's back in the news, maybe the Republicans can grab her and run her for something. She's
never know.
She's a better candidate than Herschel Walker.
You never know.
Jesus. There's your running
I didn't see this one. Carrie Lake, now on the list of the 5 least wanted people in America. Go to your post office and look her up.
Yeah.
Thinks Brittany Griner should have refused her release from prison to make Biden renegotiate. Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
A solid call.
What the fuck? Okay, I take back everything I just said. There's just no way. They're beyond.
She should have stayed.
Don't you love it the way the losers have more of a megaphone among Republicans than winners?
Well,
Kellyanne Conway, she's out forever. John Bolton, done forever. Carrie Lake, loser.
Yeah.
So they weigh in. I wonder, let's see, we'll know, by the time we get back here next week, whether there's unanimity in daring to attack the release of an American who should have never been imprisoned on the basis of because someone else didn't get released. Therefore, that was wrong. That was, and you can play the turnaround. If Donald Trump got someone like that, what would that be? be at the White House faster than you can say White House.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no examples of Donald Trump like negotiating with really bad guys. You can't find a picture of him, for example, smiling next to Kim Jong-un in front of camera. Yeah, that would be impossible for you to find.
Right.
In
and there were some hostage releases associated with some of his trips, weren't there?
There were. There always. I mean, this what you said was correct about, especially about the Israel stuff. I mean, there's always going to be the argument that this, and then we don't negotiate with terrorists and all this other shit. Come on, that's a 5-year-old's view. I'm sorry, but we've negotiated with the Taliban. So did the Trump administration. We continue to do that. This sort of thing happens all the time. You wanted her free, and she's free. Now you're going to start talking about, oh, it's just a bad guy. And as you point out, the guy had served 12 years of a 15-year sentence. But again, the facts do not matter. It's just a bitch fest. That's all it is. It's Bitch Fest 2022. Merry Christmas, Brittany Griner. You're home. That's all that really matters when all of this is done.
I'm gonna put my backdoor racial theory of division by Putin in my back pocket here.
Well, that's all he's got right now because he's getting his ass kicked in the war. So sure, I mean that's something he can do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this is. So how does this play? This is the. I have no idea. I haven't seen this yet. How does the Russian state-owned media play this? Oh, our greatest prisoner overseas, who supplied necessary weapons to every insurgency around the world, is finally free again. Yay, Putin. I don't know how they play that. I don't know.
He's losing at Ukraine every day. He's got people in his inner circle that are turning on him every day. He's paranoid as fuck. This is like the only thing he can get to get his kicks. And kicks just keep getting harder to find, Brad.
Paul Revere and the Raiders, 1965.
This is the new media. Rand Paul says that not releasing Paul Whelan will imperil your tourism industry, Russia. So take that.
Wait a minute. Russia has a tourism industry?
I'm thinking the Russian tourism industry not so hot right now.
Yeah.
Now, Rand Paul.
Now, I have a trip, of course, booked for next spring. But
sure.
That's way off.
You wouldn't believe the rates that Brad got. It's amazing.
Wow, Rand Paul. There's a thinker. Okay.
Duke University.
I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop here, and I swear, what they're gonna say about Brittany Griner. I don't know if she's back on American soil yet, but they're gonna hound her, and they're gonna. Are you going to stand for the national anthem now?
Oh boy,
because she was she was in sympathy with Colin Kaepernick and the rest.
Oh boy. So
do you still hate America now?
Yeah.
They're going to do that. They're going to play that card. So she doesn't get the treatment now that a prisoner of war would get, who had been held in the shittiest possible circumstances ever in the Middle East. She doesn't get that at all, right?
Well,
she's going to get, it's going to be two different things. One, she's going to get the full love treatment, of course, from the WNBA, that family, her own family, the NBA overall, sports world in general.
Sure.
Very, very, but then around that will be the right-wing circle of judgment and hate, and you got what was due to you, and they won't tell you that, but we will kind of. That's going to be there. That's how we are.
Well, I mean, if she'll talk shit about the Biden administration once she gets back, then she can find a spot on Fox. That's when they'll have her on.
Right. Or no, it'll be, she's just for Joe Biden because he got her out of. Well, yeah, right. That would be a good that might be a good reason. New York rats. New York rats. Yeah. Last week, the mayor of New York City announced that they wanted to hire a rat czar.
Oh, wow.
A rat czar, a person in charge of the rat. And of course, the first person you think of would be Trump. First of all, he's got the credentials. Okay. Yeah. He knows how to speak to rats. Okay. And two, he's going to need a job. I don't think he's going to be the next president. Three, he's got the lowest ratings probably of any public figure in New York City in general, right? He got no votes in Manhattan, and even throughout the city, not that popular. Maybe on Staten Island only they like him. But this seems to be just a perfect place for him to land. He could move back up there to Trump Tower, be in charge of taking out rats. Nobody got rid of rats. The goal would be to try to get everybody to forget that famous video of the rat pushing the piece of pizza down the stairs. Was that in a subway? I think that was a subway station, wasn't it?
There have been a number of people that have said that perhaps that video was some sort of a deep fake or was heavily edited or was not real.
All right. Well, Donald Trump was on a show that was deep fake and heavily edited for about 14 years called The Apprentice.
Correct.
Huh?
Correct.
Yeah. So with that in mind, the mayor is now in a fight over City Hall over property that he owns. According to the New York Times, this goes back to May. A health inspector issued Mayor Eric Adams a summons for health code violation at his own property. I don't know if this is not where he lives, but I think he owns the property. Active rat signs exist in fresh rat droppings observed near the meters, the parking meters, and the neighboring staircase. He got fined between $300 and $600, and better clean the damn thing up. But he didn't respond to the summons. He didn't show up at the hearing, so he was found guilty in the judgment by, of course, default. So there you go.
There was also this thing recently.
Thing is still open, Britt. It's still open.
There was also this story in New York, and I don't know if you saw this, but there was like this mysterious death that was killing a lot of dogs, and it was spread from New York City rats. They couldn't quite figure out. It wasn't like the plague, but it was something that was killing a lot of dogs, and it was linked to the rat population. Of course, as you've often heard the story, there's way more rats in Manhattan, for example, than there are human beings.
Yeah.
This was a great piece. Speaking of the mayor of New York, I don't know if you saw this. This is an opinion piece that was written in the New York Times by a New York City paramedic. They've got that new thing that the mayor wants where he wants to snatch mentally ill people off the streets and just throw them in the hospital. Because, there's a lot of room in the hospital and they're just doing nothing with it. So you might as well just throw some. It's a very, very good article. If you get a chance to read it, the gentleman's name here is Anthony Almagera, and he's been a New York City paramedic EMT for like 20 years. And he talks about the difficulty of this policy, how being very depressed over what's happened and dealing with the situation over the past couple of years, especially during COVID, made him suicidal a couple of years ago. I would urge anybody to check that out. It's really good.
Look, homelessness is not confined, of course, to New York City.
No
matter where you live, if you're in any kind of city larger than 10,000 people, there will be folks living on the streets. We certainly have some here, and Los Angeles, I do believe now LA is just, they're so far ahead of the rest of the country in the number of people, because of course, if you're going to be homeless, why would you want to be somewhere where the overnight low can be 3?
It's really nice
when you can be in LA.
The weather's great.
As far as New York, if you want to play what are the roots of this problem as we know it today? Really, whose fault is it? What politicians were in charge of the policies that may have brought us to this? And as you know, Britt, I always like to be fair, but I can easily say one name: Reagan. Okay.
Yeah.
During the Reagan administration, so this would be in the early to mid 80s, and I happen to know this because I happen to be married to somebody who was a practicing psychiatrist and had just gone through medical school and through her residency in New York City, including some famous hospitals, Montefiore in the Bronx, and all those kinds of places.
Okay.
And was there in the middle of this when the policy changed. And that's when they closed all the hospitals.
What was the thinking behind that? What was the thinking behind closing those hospitals?
The idea was that we would, because many of them were not well run. They were dangerous.
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera got
Yeah.
the start of his career by exposing some horrible conditions at a place called Willowbrook. I don't know whether that was in New York or New Jersey. But instead of fixing the problem, we decided to flush the problem. And so people who might have had a chance at inpatient care now were left to the wind. And it's never changed really since then. So here's Eric Adams coming along. He's a New York City cop for many, many years. He's been out on the streets. He's now the mayor. He said, well, we got to do something. So this is not a full reversion back to those days. There aren't going to be suddenly new psychiatric units and hospitals specifically built all over New York.
Which is what is needed.
Which at one level that's not going to happen.
Right.
But the first step in that is saying, and you do have to consider not just those folks, but everyone else who lives in the city, that quality of life does matter. And if you can't walk out of your apartment without stepping over people who are living on the streets in various conditions, in various levels of mental distress, then you don't have much of a city left. I know the only thing that matters to Republicans and conservatives is how many people are coming in through the southern border who have brown skin. I know that if you don't have that fixed, you don't have a country. Well, if you don't have proper care for the least of us who are here, I'm not sure what kind of a country you have either. So is this a surefire answer quickly? What Eric Adams has proposed and is going to try to enact in New York City as the mayor? I don't know, but it's something. You can't just keep kicking the can down the road. De Blasio didn't do shit. He was the previous mayor.
Yeah, but throwing him in the hospital is not the way to go.
Well,
in New York, here, anywhere in America, every hospital that you know is over. It does not have the capacity and can't deal with these people. And too often it's just they dump them out there.
But you have to start somewhere. You have to start with something. And this is kind of pushing on a string here, right? Because if there isn't the capacity, what are you doing? And the answer, I don't know. I don't know how it will be enacted. I hope it's better thought out.
Well, he points out when they dump some of these people with mental issues off at the hospital, they give them a sandwich, let them warm up, and kick them back out. And guess what? They boomerang right back. Or if they've been self-medicating with some sort of drugs or alcohol, you give them one of those banana bags with some potassium in it, let them go ahead, get that IV, kind of sober up, and you kick them out, and they come back. The hospitals don't have room for these people, and they don't have the resources to deal with these folks. But too often, it's like that's where you just dump them. And then he gets into the idea that, well, in the past, the EMTs have kind of called the shots as to whether we're going to transport this person to the hospital or not. Now, with this new edict, you can see that the cops and the firefighters, or rather the EMTs, in a fight over you're going to take them. No, we're not going to take them. Yeah, you're going to take them. No, you're not going to take them. This policy is dreadful. This policy is not the way to go at all, with all due respect to the mayor and his rat problem.
I don't think they're the same issue. I'm pretty sure they're not the same issue.
Look, the mayor didn't start this issue, and he inherited this. This has been going on, as you point out, for a long time. Probably 40 years would be a good place to start as far as that Reagan policy. Yeah. But,
1982, there you go, 40 years.
So, I think I think people should read the piece. And clearly what we do need, and this is not going to be anything that we can wave a magic wand and figure out, is we do need more mental hospitals, places where these folks can get treatment, which means we have to educate more people and hire more people to do this. And that costs money. And we've never given mental health what it deserves in this country. We just haven't.
You are the first person to ever say that, Britt.
That's
never been said before.
I also have to feel that, some of the other large Western industrial countries that have universal health insurance, I got to feel that may be part of the solution, Brad. I got to feel like somehow, some way that may be part of helping to treat people for some reason. I feel like that's a thing.
The disparity. I mean, I'll prove the disparity in my own life right now. I mean, for the last couple of days, I felt like shit. I've been coughing.
Yeah,
that's just terrible. And so I took a COVID test 2 days ago, negative. I took a COVID test this morning at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, I had a little televisit phone call with my doctor. Told her what was going on. Said, everything else is fine. Blah blah blah. She wrote me a couple prescriptions for a few things to squirt down, and I'm going to get some tests later this afternoon for some of the other problems that are going around, the other respiratory problems. That was it, RSV.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this all in less than 24. I'm getting what could only be described as perfect health care instantly. I have access to that. I'm lucky. I have health insurance. It's not a problem. A lot of America doesn't have that. None of those people on the streets of New York have that. We got a thing that can only be addressed, I think, by what you just said, which is universal health insurance, universal health care and of course that would mean a vast expansion of the number of people in the system. And again, we can't churn out an extra 50,000 doctors every year for the next 10 years. It doesn't work that way.
No, and psychiatrists and psychologists and
psychiatrists
therapists.
Even worse, because it's the low. And I can tell you this from experience, it is the lowest paying specialty.
That's got to change.
Thank you. And as a result, spouses of psychiatrists wear shirts like this. The Chicago Cubs shirts, t-shirts. That's all I got. It's the best I got.
You're a slob, and you'd wear 30-year-old t-shirts no matter what. It wouldn't matter.
You're right. I love it. Well, you know, Jane. She does. She thinks I don't notice this shit. Okay. Yeah. The other day, I'm looking through the Visa readout on the computer there, what's been bought. See, 95, it says $95, and then it says George Michael. And so then yesterday the doorbell rings and there's a package delivered.
Yeah.
And it's soft and it's folded over. So it's 2 George Michael t-shirts, $95.
Are these like George Michael tour shirts
this
from
is
1994?
Her new obsession. You know, she went from Bobby Darin to Glenn Campbell to Freddie Mercury.
Right. There was a Bee Gees pit stop in there somewhere.
Bee Gees, but not quite as obsessed. And now it's George Michael.
That's great.
So as you can see, one of the first prerequisites for my wife to get obsessed with you is you need to be dead.
So that's why you're having somebody taste your food on a nightly basis, right?
You need to be dead. But once she starts, it's just unending. And so she's searching for every video, every talk show appearance.
Well,
every one of those annoying 1-hour things that tell the true story of what happened to George Michael. So now I know more about George Michael than I ever cared to know.
Now, is she aware that Andrew Ridgeley has written a book? Is this something she's aware of?
I'm sure that she's been probably propagandized enough to go that he's the enemy now.
Andrew Ridgeley is the bad guy.
Yeah. I don't
That's fantastic.
The other Wham guy, right? Yeah.
The other Wham guy. And you can order that book off of the Brad and Britt Amazon store, shop.bradandbritt.com. Or you can sign up for Audible at our link at shop.bradandbritt.com. It's right there, and somebody will read that thing to you.
Right. And last note of the week here, under an official, thanks, Joe Biden, gasoline is now cheaper than a year ago. It's headed below $3. It is less than it was when the Russians invaded Ukraine. There it is.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
National average right now is 333. The peak national average was 501. back in June. In the last week, it's down 15 cents a gallon nationally. For the next 55 days, it's looking good. So all the way through Christmas. And the only losers in this, if you happen to be married to an oil refiner,
well,
it's not going to be a good Christmas for you. They're on the side.
But again, when we were telling people that the price of gas being high way back when was partially a good thing because it meant that there was economic activity going on, they would shit on that. Now the reason that this is going low is because demand is kind of low because economic activity is expected to slow down, particularly internationally. Things are kind of, and that's why demand is kind of low.
Which, by the way,
right now.
is Joe Biden's fault.
Completely Joe Biden's fault because of his terrible policies. That's right. Good times.
All right.
Well, heal up, get your test done, and take whatever medicines you need, and of course, hydrate.
Yeah, I think I'll be okay. I've never felt bad. Yeah, it's just been this cough thing. It just it's annoying, but
it's very annoying. And you got you can watch the Raiders take on the Rams in Los Angeles. Now I'm going to tell you how you can watch that game tonight because it's a little tricky.
I didn't even know it was on. I have no idea. No idea. I mean, you know what though? I am going to go back to wearing a mask when I go out right now, just not to protect me, but protect other people.
Oh, see, that's no good. You're supposed to be fuck other people. Fuck you, people. I'm me.
I don't want to have a coughing thing without a mask. At least if I have a mask on, I can. Well, fuck. At least I do have a mask on. So.
Yeah, it is when you get like in a store or something, you start coughing. It is like a bomb went off. People just start scattering.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah. We'll see you guys on Monday.
See you.